Like Elvis, Carl Perkins, and Johnny Cash, Jerry Lee's career got rolling here at 706 Union. The outside of the old Sun studio didn't attract so much attention in those days, but inside, popular music was being redefined.
Lewis's unbelievable style, it had to be one of the greatest catalysts to rhythm and blues, rock and roll, country coming together.
Jerry has got a different rhythm pattern than anybody else ever played. Right. And my style of playing, and I was playing this way before I met Jerry, but the styles were together, and the shuffle type beat, and we got away from the beats that were being put down at the time.
J.M. and Jerry Lee cut Crazy Arms on a Saturday. It was the Killers' audition tape for Sun. The next Tuesday, it was being pressed into records. It became a regional hit.
I saw a giant here. I saw a giant.
Judd Phillips is a remarkable man, very intelligent. He walked the streets of New York to get Jerry on TV. He'd follow around reading a Superman comic book and chewing bubble gum. And Judd, he'd stick that big foot in the door. Steve Allen, he knew what he was doing. He knew the product he had. He knew what he could do with it. And he did.
Yeah, come on over, baby. We got chicken in the barn. Woo, honey, come on over. We got a bull by the horn.
We just recorded the song, took one take on it. And they didn't even know the song. Just told them how to regular boogie-woogie beat just followed, rock and roll, whatever you want to call it. And it was a pretty big record.
Baby, shake. Come on over. Whole lot of shaking going on.
And that's about as close to modesty as the Killer gets. After the Steve Allen performance, A Whole Lot of Shaking was selling around 160,000 copies a day. Since its release, it has sold over 200 million records worldwide. Earl Farrell, News 3.
Come on, honey, we got a bull by the horn. Some little nervous let it show its fun. Oh, baby, drive me crazy. Oh, goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Barely 3 months after Jerry Lee's first appearance on national television, he was the heir to rock and roll's throne. His songs were at the top of the charts. He'd been in a Hollywood movie, and Elvis was going into the Army. 22-year-old Jerry Lee Lewis was his own man. In December of 1957, 13-year-old Myra Brown became the third Mrs. Jerry Lee Lewis. And the man responsible for promoting Jerry could see what was coming.
They were looking for a way to knock rock and roll. They couldn't find it with Elvis. They couldn't find it with any of these other people. So they found a damn way to really crucify Jerry Lee Lewis.
In May, Jerry arrived in London with his young bride. He was scheduled for 27 appearances.
Jerry Lee went over there, and Oscar Davis was his manager then and didn't go to protect him.
The London Evening Star called Jerry an undesirable alien. All the shows were called off, and the Lewises took the first flight home. Back in the States, things weren't much better. His records were banned, and his income dropped from $20,000 to $250 per night.
This broke worldwide, and I'll tell you, my phone did not stop ringing, and I tell you what, I wasn't too easy to get along with.
The Killer fought back by staying on the road.
She was getting about 12 years, I believe, riding around in backseat cars. Doing one-nighters, driving 700 miles a night. I've heard him tell the story many times.
That's something that happened, and if I had to do it, I'd do it again, because I enjoyed it. She enjoyed it. Folks enjoyed it. The press enjoyed it. Sam hated it.
Wanna tell this world that you're mine.
Does show survivorship, and that's important in this business because it has killed a lot of people.
Goodness gracious, great balls of fire.
Earl Farrell, News 3.
By the name of Becky John, Becky said, and go to Memphis, get a fiddle record out. And then Memphis, Tennessee, can pick up the phone and give me Sam Phillips just a check and going on. I'm all.
Here we are talking about Jerry Lee Lewis 25 years after his first release. Now, to me, one definition of art is staying power. And Jerry Lee Lewis definitely does have that.
And that's despite problems with the law, the government, and his ex-wives.
I've never left no wife. They all left. Thank God. With $1 million apiece. What the IRS didn't get, they finished it all.
Okay, $40,000. Anybody? $40,000. Somebody? $40,000.
In 1980, the IRS seized and auctioned off all of his valuables they could find. Uncle Sam figured the killer to be over $250,000 behind in his taxes.
Get where a man can't buy a Rolls Royce no more. Thank God for Swiss banks.
Recent medical problems were a little harder for Jerry to laugh off. Last June, the killer was rushed here to Methodist South for emergency surgery. He had a 2-inch tear in his stomach. 10 days later, he underwent 5.5-hour surgery for abscesses that developed. His doctor said the operation had only a 5% survival rate.
I spent 61 days in intensive care. They were some of the best looking nurses I have ever met in my life. I know they've done a lot of praying for me, but thank God.
While still recovering from surgery, Jerry Lee made the headlines during the trial of Dr. George Nicopolis. One of the charges against him was overprescribing amphetamines to the killer.
Public record that Jerry had problems. It's been in Memphis papers many, many times. But I'd like to say that Jerry was never an addict. I don't care what they say.
I'm just never age crazy, hanging it in the best way I can. I wouldn't change a thing, son. I don't know, I might change a few things, but you can't look at it that way. I mean, it's impossible to go back, you know. You don't never look back, you look forward. I said, oh, lady, oh, thank God I still care.
Earl Farrell, News 3. Generation gap when it comes to Jerry Lee's music. It's a source of pride for his friends and his associates.
You'd be surprised. People think, because he's, was popular in the 50s, an older crowd would come, but there's people a lot younger than me going to sing and everything.
I noticed that at the recent Cotton Carnival show, where there's 15,000 people out there, that Dick Clark show, and the demographics were 15 to 50.
And you know what they were doing? They were standing up on their seats when Jerry Lee was playing. Now these are 14-year-old people.
Easy, honey. You don't have to have an epileptic fit, honey. It's easy down with the children. There's a new generation. This will be about my 3rd trip round. Looking forward to the 4th trip round. And that thing in one little old spot, S-P-O with a T.
You're talking about why he's still popular is he's got the same thing Elvis had, and that's charisma. See, when he walks in the room, it's just like when Elvis walked in the room, you didn't even have to turn around. You could just feel the electricity there, see? And that's what Jerry Lee's got.
The son and Jerry Lee, as an example, brought the world together. I mean, in Humboldt, Tennessee, they loved him. In Hamburg, Germany, they loved him.
Well, we went over to Europe the first time I was with him in '77, and J.W. said, don't be surprised if we get, mobbed at the airport. And I could not believe all the people that were at the airport. I mean, the people just go nuts over him overseas.
We were backstage at this particular concert, and I heard this band, front band was on, a hot band in Paris, local band, real hot. We heard someone going, ka-thump, ka-thump, stoop. I said, what in the hell is that? Jerry said, what is that? So he's out the house, taking hit and throwing wine bottles at him. Oh, Jerry Lee, Jerry Lee, Jerry Lee.
Earl Farrell, News 3.
I knew it was when Elvis started trying to sing like Dean Martin. We were in trouble. Chuck Berry and myself, we kind of kept it rocking.
And the Killer's opinion is shared by others in the know, at least in part.
Not to put Elvis down, which I wouldn't want to do, but there are just certain sort of very sweet pop records that Elvis did that really, to me, sounded very affected, you know. And Jerry Lee broadcasts his personality very strongly, and it's really there on the surface, and it just sort of overwhelms anything that comes in contact with.
There was nobody in the world that could play better than he could because he said so.
I have never been wrong. I thought I was wrong one time. I checked it out and I was right.
Feeling good was easy. A woman sang the blues. Ever good enough for Jerry Lee. Good enough for me. Hallelujah.
The man who authored this song has nothing but praise for Jerry Lee Lewis.
I've never seen anybody of his generation who has still got the creative fire, has still got the desire and the respect for his art to perform as he does.
You don't have to have enough electric kid, just do it right.
If you don't do things right, son, you're in trouble.
Go ahead, Killer, take a picture.
On anything.
Thank you.
I mean, that's musically speaking, sexually speaking, walkingly speaking, talkingly speaking, ignorantly speaking.
So many people have copied the sort of superficial, flamboyant aspects of Jerry Lee's style. It's just ridiculous, but I don't think too many of them have got the sort of rhythmic bedrock that he has.
You set a style, if you're a stylist, you set a style and people follow. And I got a hell of a road to hoe. Believe me. Whoa!
We're gonna play the old piano. That old Killer's gone. I ain't gone yet, baby.
Earl Farrell, News 3.